Hello, 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 all, and welcome to Sip with the Witch. Today, our guest is Janae Hanks. She is not only an entrepreneur, a single mother, someone who has brought herself up from the absolute bottom to where she is now, being able to raise her son on her own, run a complete business that's very successful. She is also an ascended master. She is a teacher. She is a guide. And she is here to help us all move forward in our everyday lives by simply applying the practices that she is going to help us learn to understand. Welcome, Janae.
Peace, peace, peace. How you doing, my love?
I'm great.
It's an honor for me to be here.
Okay. So Janae we're going to talk about just spiritual growth from where you started in spirituality
Okay.
to where you are, to where you see yourself ascending to.
Mm-hmm.
If you could give us a little bit of background about you.
Okay. Well, as she said, I'm Janae Hanks. I started my spiritual journey when I was born. It was a process. When I was 4, from what I remember, was I've always been just aware of my surroundings and what was always going on. And I was always able to like break things down. I love to break things down. So that's where it started at. I went through some traumas or whatever when I was a child, things with my mother, with her being single. And then I came to the point of, just finding my way as a teenager. When I was 12, that's when I considered myself to be grown, which, a lot of people do. And that's when I started to explore what I thought reality was. Hanging out, being out late, exploring what the world was. From there, I moved to Houston. That was in 2007. I stayed in Florida pretty much partially all my life. And when I got here, I went to Cullen. When I went to Cullen, that's when I was playing basketball and running track. I was pretty good at it, you know what I'm saying, if I say so myself.
Little swag.
Yeah, for sure. And then when I graduated from Cullen Middle School, I went to Yates,
Okay.
Jack Yates High. So when I went to Jack Yates High, I played basketball.
Houstonians know.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Houstonians know what that is.
Yeah, the drip sauce. All right.
So
when I went there, I played basketball, ran track, and that's when I, got pregnant. I was 15 years old when I found out.
Right.
And I had my son when I turned 16. So, that was a big transition. I had to choose. I was like, I don't want to be no mother. Like, I want to, you know what I'm saying? I want to explore the world. Like, I could never see me having a child. Like, that was never in what I considered my vision, right? But I didn't know what the word was at that time.
Right.
It was preconceptions of what people thought reality was, and they implemented those things within it.
And how did you, at that age, learn to see through that? What helped you to see through that at such a young age? Because a lot of people are in that same space of trying to figure it all out when they're at 15 or 16, and they don't have a certain guidance. They don't have a certain insight. It's something in them that they're missing where they can't navigate through that and they get trapped in the social fantasy.
Okay, so for me, like I said, it was the 4-year-old Janae. So I had to sit down and I had to reflect on like those things that got me to this point, which was 15, right? Which wasn't a big gap, but it was major. And I just had to make I apologize that I don't have words, just because it's like it was the best but hardest choice that I ever had to make, because I had to adjust the unknown in order to be known.
So all things are perfect at this moment. All things are absolutely perfect at this moment. And we are doing wonderfully. So when you adjusted, what caused you to know that you needed to adjust?
Looking at my mother.
Okay. So looking at your mother, you were able to see what you wanted versus what you didn't want, or you were able to see?
I was able to see the things, the beauty and the discipline that she implemented, and the things that she was lacking in that I would be able to give not only myself but my siblings, because I was their, not their parent, but their role model first.
Okay, so because what happens is a lot of the times we start these journeys,
Right.
and we're becoming these immaculate beings,
Right.
and we don't know at what point we decided, okay, I'm going to be this being and not that person.
Right.
So you're saying around the time that you had your amazing, magnificent, spectacular son,
Yes.
who stole your entire face, who I had the pleasure of meeting, is when you decided that you wanted to become a being and not a person.
Sure.
Okay. And the pivotal point of that decision was
when I went to the doctor. My mother made me go to the doctor. When we went to the doctor is when I made that that I had to make that uncomfortable adjustment. So they was like, "What are you gonna do?"
right.
I didn't have any guidance. So they was like, Are you going to keep this baby? Or are you going to, move forward and have the abortion?" So initially, me being stubborn and selfish, I chose to get an abortion, right? And everything, like all the tasks that came up in regards to me getting an abortion was like, no,
Okay.
I couldn't get an abortion. So when I went, I was like, okay, I do a deal. I make a deal. This is what I said to the universe. I said, if it's a boy, I keep it. Because I can deal with a little boy. I can't deal with another little Jeanette.
Okay. Understood.
So I made a deal. So I found the clinic, and they said they would do it if I wasn't too far along. So when I went, we went and got the ultrasounds and whatnot. And then in that same stroke, they was like, we don't want to tell you because when we tell you, you're more prone to keep the child or whatnot. So they told my mama, and she was like, I got to tell you, like, it's something telling me. She was like, you having a son, and you're too far along to take him away. He already has a heartbeat.
Right.
So I made the conscious decision. I said, okay, I chose to play tag. So now I'm it.
Oh, so we call it tag.
And today we
right,
call
today
it
we
tag.
call it tag.
So today,
all right. At that age, it might as well be.
Most definitely. Now I chose to have sex. So
right.
Now I'm here, and I have to take on the role of that responsibility because I thought I was grown.
Okay.
So I finished ninth grade. Once I finished ninth grade, knowing that I was pregnant or whatever, I didn't start showing till the summertime, right before I had him.
Okay.
And then from that stroke, I had him August the 19th, 2008. I became a mother, and that was the best thing that ever happened to me. The fear was the unknown, like him accepting me, right? And I feel like every mother and father have that love, that thing floats in the back of their mind.
Absolutely, I know I have it. I still have it.
For sure. So once we got to that point, it was the best thing that ever happened to me, and he taught me and helped me become the woman that I am today. So that's when it really started. So it was like the initiation when I was 4, and then the dormant because of traumas, and then coming back to life, being rebirthed in 2008.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So when as an ascended master, we'll go back over some things for some people who may not know what certain words mean. But for now, as an ascended master, you understand that every time you're rebirthed, you make a conscious decision that you're going to come back here to do a certain thing.
Correct.
So you're saying you were rebirthed, you came here to do a certain thing.
Yes.
And then after conceiving, I have to say Jaden.
Yes.
Okay, after conceiving Jaden.
Yes.
That's horrible that I said after I said it.
It's all good. It's all good.
After conceiving Jaden, you decided to be reborn again?
Yes.
From one state to an ascended state.
Correct.
Okay.
So I'll break that down. So in that phase, I made the conscious decision to be my mother, just a better version. Absolutely. And to break all generational curses unconsciously. See, I wasn't fully aware what I chose in that moment, because I was like, in my mind, I was like, the things that I lacked in receiving from my parents, I was gonna give my son that, but not smother him in it, allow him to embrace it in his way, and then I just continuously pour into him.
Okay, that is a beautiful sentiment, and actually a magnificent achievement, because me knowing you and knowing your son, that's not even a goal. That's something that I know you achieved in doing personally, because he is truly an amazing being, and he's very, very aware of who he is, beings, his ancestors, and all things that come with that. And so, congratulations on that. Although he is still very young, he is very, very old. He has a very wise energy about him, as if he's lived many, many lives. So the life that you brought in, that you decided to bring in, was one that was meant to change nations, and you brought him in such a way
I did.
that he will be skilled and prepared to do so. So more than congratulations on that.
Gratitude, my love. I appreciate it.
Okay, so let's see. So you said, remind me again of what the aspects of your mother were that made you choose the righteous path. That you chose. And when I say righteous, I don't mean self-righteous. I mean true righteous. I mean purity. I mean clean. I mean the path of flow, true and utter righteousness, of being one with the all. What was it about her that she embodied, that chose that? And I'm asking that for a reason, because the people watching want to show those things to their children, to their family, to their friends, to their nieces, so that they can make sure that they choose that path as well.
For me, it was the lack of love, the lack of intimacy from mother to daughter. You know, just that quality time, just physical touch. These are things that I had to learn when I got older, but at that moment when I was 15, she did what she could.
Right.
And there's no disrespect to that, because I am grateful. But we, you know, sometimes, like I said at the beginning, you know, we're bound by preconceptions that individuals invest or instill important to us. And, you know, not accepting or reneging on that thing in which we were taught. Because that's the beauty of ascension, right? Going against the grain, but accepting the grain at the same time.
Right. We let go of those preconceived notions that were given to us.
Yes.
And just allow things to be and people to be who they are.
Right.
Just because I know you love me, I have an expectation that you show me with flowers and candy and whatever else. But that's not your true expression of love. Okay? So removing that removes you from those chains and removes you from those vows, where you were able to forgive and let go of any negativity or negative energy that was surrounding what you felt like was a lack of at the time, just because you know and you grew to understand that there was no supposed to be. There was no I was supposed to have.
Right.
It was just, it is.
It is.
It is.
Yes.
And in every moment, if we live in the it is, we will always stay in flow. Okay, I'm not upset because this person is being mean to me. They shouldn't treat me that way. It just is. Your response, you're in control of, but your reaction, you have some power. You have some power over. But other people, you just learn to accept the yes. And that is a beautiful thing to learn at such an early age, because people struggle with that. And a lot of people don't figure that out till they're damn near in their 50s or plus. Seriously, you know how they say people get stubborn in their old age?
Right.
It's not that they're stubborn, they just accept that it is.
Right.
Very rarely do you meet a 15-year-old who is able to process and stand in that. So, we are all grateful for you and the energy that you bring to that, understanding that it is. Even as a child. So, and I say child using that word extremely loosely.
Gotta keep it alive.
Yes.
Yes, that's the other key.
So, Fast forward, we have Janae Hanks. We have Janae Hanks Services. We have
Legacy
companies. So we have legacy pharmacy companies. We are having marijuana farms, and we have um, power washing companies, and we have all of these things, these educational things. I'm a teacher, I am a mentor, I teach people. People come to me when they need guidance, and I guide them. I studied under a shaman, you studied under a mambo, you studied under a witch, you studied under many ascended masters, you have studied under disciples. There are so many things, and that's just to name a few. What are some of the most important things that you've picked up from those people?
Patient process, um, flow and order. You don't have to be confined by anything. It's just a key in order to unlock whatever doors within that's dormant in you, so that you may be that teacher or that master in training for everyone else.
Right. And I love that you said master in training, because every master is in continuous training. At the point you begin to come out of training, you are no longer a master, because someone just learned something that you refused to.
Yeah, so you can't stay dormant in growth.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm a student of life. I am an alchemist, and you taught me about the alchemist, and I've read it, and it changed my whole. It made me upgrade the prescription in my lenses that I wear.
Ashe.
Yes, so I see reality from the clearest view. I do read to study myself, self-improve, but I do study people, places, and things. And that's how I'm able to grasp and be a part of the flow in the heaven. And even when it's chaotic, it's still in order.
Absolutely.
Yes. And I breathe through everything.
And you said you breathe.
Yes.
So we understand true breathing.
Yes.
True breathing is the art of actually, humans think they breathe.
No.
Everybody thinks you slap the baby on the butt, it screams, it's breathing. Now, the baby probably is, because it just got here and it knows no better.
Right.
By the time they hit first, second grade, they're already so tightly wound, so indoctrinated, not even by school, but by society, by energies, by no, you can't have it, by this is not meant for you, by this is not how we live, by this is what you're supposed to do. They're indoctrinated by all of the supposed tos before they're even in double digits.
Right.
So by the time they're in adulthood, they're completely holding their entire breath if they're not cautious. Because your body, the physicality of your body, your air is going to be expelled. The air is going to be inhaled, and carbon dioxide is going to be expelled. That's what's going to happen. If you try to hold your breath till you die, you won't. Because physically you cannot. So that means that that is not the art of breathing. That is this physical machine taking care of itself.
I have something to say on that.
Yes.
So, what people have to understand and grasp, or what I grasp, because I can speak on myself. My advice to everyone is to continuously embrace the phase that you're in now, but be ready to let it go so that you can step into that next phase and be that next individual. And don't be, I apologize, I take back individual, divine person. No, divine entity, a God.
Right.
Because you are a God. You don't have to look, everything that you're looking for outside of you is in you. You are everything that you desire, whether it's love, compassion, intimacy. So when people understand that they are that thing in which they desire to be,
That's so hard for people to believe.
Which is true. But that goes back into breathing. You have to first be able to breathe in order to exhale. Yes. So breathe. You take them long. It's like intimacy. You take them long, slow, short breaths. You know, when you're frustrated, that's when you breathe the best. When you breathe like It's when the lungs are really being filled with air, and then you're really compressing it out. That's why people smoke a lot. When you smoke, you're really breathing. You're just breathing in toxins.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think, well, for me, the art of true breathing is you breathe through fish breathe underwater, through every pore in their body. We're human, we should do the same. So people don't understand that. Let me explain. I breathe, the part that I inhale through depends on the output that I want. I breathe in a lot from my yoni because I inhale, I love my feminine energy. I love my feminine power. I love how I stand in it. I love how I sit in it. I love how I sit in it. So I breathe in through my yoni and exhale through my pores. And when I say my pores, I feel myself exhaling my ankles, my toes, my shins, my fingertips. They all exhale, and you're in this constant state of oneness and meditation with self and spirit that just allows you to exhale with your entire body every second of every day. And it's amazing. People don't believe it possible, just like they don't believe it possible that they create their own realities. People don't believe it possible to breathe and exhale through your pores, like breathe in through your yoni and exhale through your fingertips. They don't believe that they can because they don't believe in their own potential. They'll believe in the potential of everybody else.
Right.
Janae can do it. I can't do that. Janae can have a baby at 15, own multiple companies, break her family curse generations, but me, I can't. And most people deal with that area of self-worth, and they have to deal with that before they're able to truly breathe, because you have to be worthy to exhale.
Yes, you do.
You have to feel yourself worthy. And you're one of the people who are able to feel themselves worthy without anybody ever telling you to. You were able to step into your ascended masterness earlier, and you didn't even know that's what you did. You just did it.
For sure. So I wanna say something else. I wanna tell you.
It's okay. We love downlines.
Value. If you don't value yourself, how can you value anything outside of you? So what I'm teaching now is triggers. What triggers you to make you feel uncomfortable? I was talking to a friend that got married, and every time she would say a certain thing, it would make him want to, get stiff and be more in his masculine energy. And I told him what I learned is because I am divine masculine and feminine. I am, and you are as well.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna just tell you what I've learned. I've learned how to put ghost peppers and honey together, and I can get anyone not to sway to my perception, but to see themselves in an elegant space to where you have no choice but to accept and embrace that thing which is triggering you. So once you understand triggers, then you will be able to then face that trigger and then gain that value. And then you will be able to, ricochet that into the reality. So that's the whole thing. Like how you said, you breathe in through your yoni, all, and then it comes out through your pores. That's meditation in motion. And I've been teaching people meditation in motion because I am that. I paint on my reality every day that I breathe, every moment, every second that I am breathing out something. That thought is the world is my canvas. So I'm showing them that you are that thing in which you desire, which is opulence. You know what I'm saying? And you are worthy of whatever you desire. Who do you have to be that thing? I am a grand master. I am a God in training. I will forever be a student, even when I go and ascend to the next life. But you have to embrace this moment, as I said. Be in this moment. Be present and feel. You don't have to cling to emotion, but you do have to feel. And when you feel, that's when you're able to be.
Absolutely. Okay. Beautiful download. Beautiful download. And it brought up something. Okay, so one of my latest books is The Power of Persuasion, which leads right into your ghost pepper and honey. So I have a course and a book now called, The Power of Persuasion. And we talk about just that thing and teach people how to move into that. But before I allow them to even take the course on the power of persuasion, you read the book you want to, but before I actually teach you how to do it with me, you have to also learn how to breathe and become the environment. Because if I teach you how to persuade people without teaching you how to be someone who should be persuading people, then I've created a problem.
I love this because the more that I stand in my I am and I paint on my universe, I persuade people to be better. Whatever moment, like I don't drink or curse right now, like everybody around me unconsciously, and I'm not telling anybody anything. So it's just that potency. So to everybody out there, I want y'all to take y'all time with yourself. Give yourself grace, give yourself patience. Because every moment is necessary, even when it's not. Everything and nothing is the same thing. And the more that you take your time and you write it down, you're continuously scribing those things that no longer has a point. You put a period on it and you allow it to be. Because those things are the individual who you used to be. And not saying that it's not deemed necessary, but it's not necessary when you're going into God state, because that's the emotion that was trapped in a box and you were just a part of that. You are free, you are elegant, you are peace, you are love, and you're light. And we want you to shine lights on angles in which in yourself that was dim, because the people need those things. The dimmer that they are, the longer it's going to take those people around you or unconsciously around you to brighten up as well. So I just wanted to say that.
And we appreciate that, because somebody somewhere, a lot of somebody somewhere, needed to hear that exact thing at that exact moment.
Yeah.
And because of the teacher that you are, you were able to tap in and tune into exactly what they needed to hear, even if they didn't know they needed to hear it. So we greatly appreciate it. I'm so grateful for you for your time. Because I need to check the time with you, because I know you have to go pick up Jaden.
It's 3:27.
Okay. I don't know how long it takes you to get there, but I didn't want to.
I could leave by like 3:45.
Okay. I just need to take a break. Lorraine, let me know what 3:45, like, or 3:40, like, wave at me so I can stop talking to Janae, so I don't have to worry about it.
The other person said that she's on the way like 10 minutes ago.
Okay.
Okay, man.
Yeah.
This is still recording.
Huh?
This is still recording, so you're good.
Okay.
So that way.
How we doing? We good? I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Because I'm
Just
kind
in
of like nervous out here in these. Yeah, I ain't know I was gonna drop tears. I appreciate that. I needed that. That means my heart chakra is there now, finally, huh? Yes.
We was working on that thing. Woo! We was working on that heart chakra thing.
I was heavy as the heaviest mountain.
Where are those cupcakes?
Get your mics.
Gotcha.
Because you're
Guest.
going to mine.
You ain't no guest.
You got, wipe your teeth
Yeah.
with napkins.
No, y'all killing it.
Huh?
Y'all killing it.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, good. I feel like we are.
We good. This
You
is
know, we
here.
speak in eon.
Yeah, for sure.
I got questions after, so keep going.
You can write them on the board and ask them now.
It's like she was like, Chini.
You can write them on the board and ask them now. That way we can, like, discuss them, because I'm sure you always have amazing questions. Are we back?
Yeah, you can go.
Okay, we'll just go back and forth. Okay, so yes, so you said exactly what needed to be said when it needed to be said to the person it needed to be said to.
Right.
Um, life takes us on amazing journeys, and we know that your journey is so far from over. So we have talked about, you gave us insight into your childhood and your second ascension, even into now. Let's talk about that next level.
Okay. So the next level was
And I love how you said that next level was.
it was
Because people's perception of time.
Yeah.
I love that.
gratitude.
I love it.
Yeah. So my next level was 2015. 2015 was a moment of. It was a moment of releasing, shedding. It was a moment of shedding.
That was a year for me too.
Yes. So 2015 was a moment of shedding. So at that time, I used to, have a lot of women. I used to drink promethazine, codeine all the time. I used to be like at a pint a day.
You know, you from the age, you gotta, put a coat in your cup.
You know what I'm saying? This is
shake
the
up a soda, a little great,
For sure. And it was
couple
also.
Jolly Ranchers.
Oh yeah, my hand.
I don't know nothing about it, but
I used to have it with the big blue in there. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so clearly I know a little bit about that.
Yeah. I like it. I love it. Yeah, for sure. And it's balanced. I love ratchet because it's most definitely necessary. And that's me. You know what I'm saying? It's just shirt spooky. But yeah. So in that moment in time, I had to choose to be trapped in what I thought that phase of reality was because at that time I was making a lot of money. I was working offshore, so I was working for an oil company, and I was making at that time more money than I knew what to do with. At that time I wasn't financially literate. So as much money as I was making, I was circulating. Well, I was spending. I wasn't circulating. I was most definitely spending it.
Yes.
So I looked at my son one day, and my son was just like, he was just like, "Mommy, I love you so much." And I was like, "Okay, if I keep doing this, then I'm not saying that he wouldn't love me, but would I really be able to give him the complete me, or would I give him the mirage me's that I've created through these things in which I'm consuming, which is women, drugs, and things, clothes and shoes and whatever." And I didn't want to be trapped anymore because I understand they can be a blissfulness, and then they also can be a trap if you overconsume anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why consumption isn't one of the deadly sins. Gluttony is.
Yes.
You can have anything you want, just in moderation.
Yes. So, in that phase, my son looked at me also after he said that and was like, "Mommy, I don't want you to smoke no more. I learned in class, if you smoke, your lungs turn black." So I was like, right on. So
they do it to you, don't they?
Yeah, and
kids do it to you. They just
So I had just bought a pack of cigarettes, and he was like, he crumbled them, and I was like, oh, I was like, it was like my heart, but he was like, I don't want you to do that. So I think at that time he was maybe 3, 4, something like that. I was like, okay. I said, let me finish this pack, and then I promise I'll stop. And I held my promise to that day. I didn't smoke anything else, like nothing, no Black and Milds or none of that, because I value my son, and he values me, and we hold each other accountable. So, and fast forward a little bit, 2015, that's when I started being more consciously aware. I started taking more responsibility on my own. I got my own place. I left the oil field because I was like, yeah, I'm making money, but I'm not with my son. My son is my why on this planet right now. So I left the oil field. I was making like $1,200-$1,300 at that time. At that time, I think it was like 19, 20, maybe something like that. But I was young, you know what I'm saying? And I said I'm willing to sacrifice that because my son is the most valuable thing that I could ever have right now. So once I did that, I made that move, and I started working at Jiffy Lube. I became an assistant manager. So that's working on cars and all that good stuff, right? My old goon energy. So I was doing that, and as I was doing that, I I was like, okay, I like this, but the boss that I had at the time, he was trying to keep me in his box of what his reality was, and he had been working there since he graduated high school. At that time, he was like 45.
Okay.
No. So then
So again, you made a decision when you saw something. That's not what I wanted.
correct. And it took me 4 years to get it. I worked
Okay.
there for 4 years. So, but it was comfort. So I embraced certain things. At that time, I was immature in regards to me listening and really paying attention. I wasn't the alchemist that I am now. So I would be able to pay attention and see, but I didn't know how to properly move in it, if that makes sense.
It does. It makes complete sense because hindsight is way easier than foresight.
Yes.
So it's easier to see behind you. That's why I appreciated the tense in which you made your statement.
Yes.
But as for the being that you are at this current moment,
Yes.
what are you painting?
Every moment
Do you know what that looks like?
right now, because this is the only thing that matters.
Okay.
Even though my son is not with me, he's there and he matters because I'm showing him how to create his. And then the moment that I leave here, then I'll be with him in that moment will only matter.
Right.
So I am a moment by moment, but I also am an orchestra of my reality. So everything is playing is at its best to whatever degree that may be, and I'm just. And when I don't want to hear that song no more, I step back, I adjust, and then I let everybody know we take our time, and then we move forward so we hear the next song as a whole.
Okay. Right. So do you have any idea what song you want to play?
Right
Or
now,
what that looks like.
right now I'm in silence.
Okay. You
And
did mention that to me earlier that you've been embracing a lot of silence lately.
Right.
What's that? What is that about?
the new technique of breathing, because then, like I said, when I was breathing, I was consuming cigarettes. That was when I thought that I was breathing, because when you inhale, that was a breathing. Even though it's an immature breathing, it's still breathing.
Well, there's about 167 ways to breathe.
Right.
Or breathing techniques.
Mhm.
But they're not spirit breathing.
For sure.
They're not true breathing.
For sure.
There's 167 different ways to breathing techniques out there that people teach you to learn meditation, to exercise, to grow your lung capacity. There's tools you can use. There's a lot of things.
Right.
But as far as spiritual breathing,
So right.
breathing through your pores.
Okay. So mine is I'm breathing from the back of the spine, the bottom of the spine. So that's what I'm working on.
From your root or from your sacral?
For my sacral.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why I'm learning how to do that now in this moment. And I want to be in silence as I do so that I can hear clearly. Because there's a lot of things that has to come from the root or the sacral in order for me to.
And when we're saying root or sacral, we're talking about chakras.
Yes.
So, you're pulling all of that from your sacral chakra.
Correct.
Okay.
The reason why I'm doing it is because the individual that I am now and I'm continuously becoming every moment, is certain things that have been lingering in my DNA that I'm reconstructing.
Got you.
Yes.
You want to talk about what they are?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm open. So when I was younger, I was molested, and that's something that lingers. Not in me, my mother, and I'm like very close to my mother. And I had to make the conscious decision that just because I'm connected to you doesn't mean that I have to take care of your traumas for you.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like I am grateful to be in this truck. Like, but just because I have this trailer back here doesn't mean that you're supposed to load your stuff into it as well.
Because people don't understand that. They think because you have the space, they're supposed to put all that crap on your trailer.
Yes.
This is my trailer, man.
Right. I already got enough stuff
Ma'am
on
and
here.
sir, I have my own. I got a trailer for a reason.
Right. Right.
If I don't want to put nothing but flowers and incense on my trailer, it is my flowers and incense on my trailer.
Yeah.
Don't drop your load on my trailer.
Right.
And that is true. That is so true. And people mishandle that all the time.
For sure. Or they see how exuberant you are in your light, or they see how it shines, and they desire those things, so they try to live through you. And I'm grateful for that, but that's not my role in life. My role in life is to show you how to be that exuberant thing within yourself. so that you may carry your own trailer or
We'll
your
just
own
stop
house.
you for a minute and say, I love you.
I love you as well.
Because that is what we needed.
Yes.
That is absolutely what was needed.
Yes.
Because people misinterpret. Okay, well, God gave me this or Spirit gave me this so that I can help other people. True. But not in that way.
Right.
Because by continuously doing it for them,
They become crippled.
they become crippled and then they become slaves to their own insecurities when you're not around.
And even more the individuals that's guiding to a certain degree, whatever that thing may be, or crippling it. Really.
And you're crippling yourself because you become codependent. You become dependent on needing to carry everybody else's stuff.
Right.
Because that's where you find your value.
Right.
So you went through all these healing work and all this process to create this empty trailer that you can put your flowers and incense on.
Yeah.
And now you feel incomplete when you don't have everybody else's stuff because that's where I was getting my value. And me being a natural nurturer, I struggled with that one. I struggled with that one for a while because I felt like, because I am so gifted and I am so blessed and I have worked so hard to become the person that I am. Because this spirituality, life, is not, of course you're in flow, but that does not make it easy.
Right. It actually makes it a little bit more testier because you have so many different angles coming at you and you're more consciously aware of the reality. And that's why a lot of people feel a certain type of way. They're like, but why am I becoming spiritual and people that's not spiritual get more? Are they really? Right. They're tainted by things that they assume that people will give them gratification, so they really don't have value.
And you don't know who's spiritual in their home life.
Yeah.
Like some people are spiritual that we don't think are spiritual.
See, I don't think. I go off.
I mean, like other people.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And I don't mean to cut you off, but my thing is I pay attention. And I mean, like I said, it's no disrespect to whatever level you on, because who's to say that I'm at the highest?
Absolutely.
Right, I'm in my moment. And
I
I
don't
embrace
believe that
that.
there is a highest. I don't believe that there's a point you can't elevate past. I think at some point, if you become oneness with the universe expands.
I see.
If I become the all just expands to an even bigger all. It gives me something else to grow to. That's what makes it the all.
Right.
Who put limits on it? Like, I've never understood that.
Us. Well,
Not
humans.
me. I didn't do it that one.
I'm going to say humans. I was thinking of collective wise,
I
but
know.
yeah, humans, they do.
Yeah.
Humans does. But that goes back into lack of understanding self, DNA. Because if your mother didn't know, she can't teach you. So you have to hold your, in that moment, you have to be held accountable for that thing in which you desire, which is, like you say, higher learning, or that all, which all is nothing at the same time, right? So, yeah.
Okay. Well, it is called ThGood Witch. And I don't know what you got in your class, but I got Hennessy in mine. I think you got water.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, she behaving, y'all. She got water in her cup because she being silent and she's not cursing and all of those wonderful things.
Yeah.
And they are doing everything that they are doing right now.
Yes.
I have Hennessy.
Cheers to this moment.
Absolutely. I love this moment.
Yeah. What are we looking like?
We are. Okay. We are looking like growth. We are looking like oneness. We are looking like divine peace in all things. And when we talk about breathing, going back to breath, when we talk about the breath, like I feel like I share a breath with you at certain moments.
Yeah.
Like you and I have known each other for a while, and we can share a breath from states away, from continents away, actually.
Right.
There was at a point I was in Kemet, and were you in Ohio?
No,
Oklahoma, and we actually were able to share breath at one point. know, you just know it won't be a question of am I breathing? And no one will be able to confirm that you are not, but they will be able to feel that you are. Because something about being in a room where you're the only person that's truly breathing, you become the environment of that room. And you set the tone for that room. And for someone to be able to do it almost effortlessly and then pause it and come back to it later is an amazing thought. And you are thought because you are feelings and you are all and you are nothing. But we appreciate the thought of me and we appreciate the experience of you.
So, I appreciate you, and I appreciate this moment.
Yes.
It will ever be written in my Akashic records.
I'm so glad that you came to sit with the witch and enjoy this moment. Thank you so